So folks, my build has gone wrong. What do I do with it now? So, guide for homeowners in projects in the middle of it. Unfortunately, this is a scenario I know only too well. Every year I deal with 2 or 3 of these. This year I got one where the builder was a sign and build company, and that contract is now null and void and we're going to tender again with it. I had one where the builder actually lived in the same neighbourhood, got a huge deposit, did nothing, probably intended to do nothing if I can be totally honest with you. I did one down around Dean's Grange where the builder came and did work, but it was all substandard. Then he ran out of money. Then the homeowner had to feed him running out of money. Then I did one for a lovely family around Ballymun, and the builder ended up effectively slowing things down. A couple of other jobs in the neighbourhood, and he nearly ended up parking all his tools in the front bedroom. And he did little to nothing. That company had gone bankrupt before, so we did our due diligence on that. And I did another one last year as well around Phipsborough. Lovely fella, lovely builder, but he had a real drink problem and everything was just AWOL. So now, with him, in all fairness, the structural work that he did was fair and good. So what you do in these situations, you know, he can walk off site and there's nothing stopping him walking off site. That's the reality. Doing one job at the moment, and one builder, there's been issues around clarifications around roads and multiple hold-ups. Guy never walked off site. Absolutely dignified guy. He went away for a while and he came back, and I'd say he actually went to a couple of sites and regained. So cost below before the quote. This is a real danger, and especially if you don't have any protection around it. Cost below, and all of a sudden come in, find something else, put an exaggerated variation on it. It's gone. Gone. Defective work, yeah, not on spec, plumbing done. Speaking to a plumber I know, and he's telling me to control costs that he actually sometimes does the plumbing himself and gets the plumber to verify it, and I was just thinking, you couldn't be kidding me. Like is that plumber nuts? Or just doesn't. So you have to be very cautious that who's certifying the work is actually doing the work. That would be highly, highly unusual. Money paid, work not done. So I was sitting at home 5 or 6 years ago, sitting at home. Next thing you get a knock on the door, and one of my neighbours floods of tears, and he paid a lot of money to a builder and he was gone. So all of these and different varieties, and these can even be cross-pollinated with each other. Panic, threat, this is neurological, totally understandable. Ringing a lawyer immediately, a solicitor. Literally the cost of this is huge. Even get a standard letter sent out, could be 500 to 1,000. Hiring a new contractor without actually, but you end up possibly repeating what's already happened. And I've gone on job sites, walked onto one as a builder years ago, and I saw tools down the back of the tools and acros and things, and the homeowner tried to tell me he'd done it himself. I was just looking at him going, really? And he was some sort of college professor, and he was trying to tell me that he'd done it himself. And this happens in both directions. Like, it can be clients sometimes who may not be the most honourable of people. So anyway, I did a bit of research and I found out that actually, yeah, it was virtually impossible to deal with, and unfortunately, tragically, that man's mental health wasn't good, so shouldn't have been there in the first place. And that's just, that's just an issue, unfortunately. So everything is a context. Everything has a context, and that's while you want to discern the current situation logically, you have to understand it emotionally, and then nearly something like a sigma type of lens, you got to see it from the other side. And if all the answers are telling you and your gut's telling you to move on, then the answers move on. So no more payments. Payments stop, and as soon as payments stop, you'll get start getting a whole pile of emails and a whole pile of reports and a whole pile of inquiries and near threats. But that flurries out after short enough, and as soon as you stop making payments, boom. So one job I did, and I played a large part in stopping the whole process. I had to convince, and this is really important, I had to convince the homeowners to stop. They were so emotionally involved, they were so financially involved, and they were lovely, lovely, sweet, kind people. And they were utterly shocked that this could be done, and they were utterly shocked that they were taken for. And one of the big signals was, as soon as they started challenging payments and challenging work, somebody else appeared. They got a bad guy in to play the big tough role. So that was stopped, legal letters done, and now we're rebuilding their house. I'm not, my building days are gone, but we're going to go out to tender to do it. So what you should do is stop all payments immediately and get independent clarity, document everything, photos, and on that particular one, they were using a common data environment. So they had some sort of platform. There's smart sheets, which is pretty handy, and you keep all the communications in there. But this was an interesting one because it would prompt the homeowner to make payments. It would prompt the homeowner to accept things. And there was big social pressure with all of these prompts coming. And because it was on a platform, it nearly normalized them. So while in theory platforms like that are really good, I'd be a little bit weary of jumping all into them. I don't mind information exchange, and even in information exchange, they need to be put in the right folders, absolutely. So, and you need to keep communications factual and stay away from them. If they're coming to site, stay away from them. One recent job, builder went in, he was taking out his tools, he was in there for 4 hours, angry, frustrated, and yet this guy had got paid a colossal amount of money, and he was angry and frustrated that he wasn't going to get more. That's the bottom line. So you can see behavioral patterns. So what you actually need to do first, get an independent cost assessment, and that's a QS, and it doesn't matter if it's me or anybody else. Get somebody local. That's what I'd really recommend, because somebody local will actually know the neighbourhood, know the current rates, know the environment. If you're in the north side, get somebody over there. City centre, get somebody there. West, get somebody there. South side. So get an independent cost of it. Facts, not feelings. And basically part of that process is to actually analytically go through all the communications, extract a whole sequence of informations, and then you can start to negotiate from strength and enable each step, because this information follows on. So it's factual, it gives you the negotiation stand, and the horrible, brutal reality is even with this, may not be worth your while to go down, certainly to mediation. But a builder legally is has little entitlement if wrong is done to him, and a client has little entitlement if wrong is done to them. So controlling finances is of vital importance. And I'm at a process at the moment. There's disagreement over the final account, and there's anger and frustration, and there's two different versions of the truth, and we need to sit down and go through it, which we will, and we can process it out in a facilitatory manner. We need to, otherwise it won't get done. But the reality is the homeowner, to a certain degree, is safeguarded because they're the ones with the finances rather than the other way around. So there can't really be any flight, and that's why you need a process and system that coordinates you, helps you, enables you, and secures you throughout the process. So what it costs us, it actually does. We get the original quote or contract, then we get a full trail of payments, work completed to date, market value done, outstanding costs, and remedy of if there's any defects. I'm doing one job at the moment down Blackrock, and things for multiple levels and multiple reasons escalated, and they started spreading, and they kind of ran a little bit out of control. And I went to a site meeting, I met the other quantity surveyor, and he was actually thrilled I was there, because it puts law and order on to the whole project. He can represent his side decently, very, very clever, very decent man, and things are back on track. And it's back on track because there's order coming from both sides. It needs to be balanced. It needs to be balanced. And then this takes the emotional aspect out of it. So, QS role in disputes, where we do the audit, establish the value, fill in the gaps, what paid, what wasn't, quantify what work needs to be done, and put a formal written report together which can be used legally. And then you can go and get legal advice. But I am in one situation where somebody has been, how would I say, somebody is overpaid, let's just put it like that, 150,000, and the legal recourse is going to cost them at least 50 or 60 grand, and then that leaves 90 grand, and they may be able to get costs, they may not, but they're going down a long trail, and it may not be worth their while. May not be worth their while. And that's the one thing that these slides don't show in any size, shape or form, is the emotional involvement. People get their own psychological biases. They get entrenched. The entrenchment then becomes neurological. Neurological then becomes survival mode. Survival mode is cognitive dissonance with their logical mode, and it's hard to see the trees from the forest. So there needs to be separation. Needs to be separation. And I even advise people to go away for a weekend. Go down the west, and out the Iron Islands. Get the holy wind blown off you, and get some fresh air in you. Get away from it physically, mentally, emotionally, situationally, positionally, geographically. Get away from it psychically, and go for a meal, go for a walk, get fish and chips, have a couple of pints, get away, stay overnight. It may be hard to do, but there does need to be a neurological break in thinking patterns as well. So cost plan will report, will give you legal recourse, and what I do in this, I actually, even though there is construction lawyers and solicitors, I actually place my legal definition of it for analysis by the solicitor. I'm certainly not a lawyer in any way, I'm not an expert in any way, I'm fascinated by the law itself, but I put my version of the contract so at least they can have something to counterbalance, to check, and even if I'm totally wrong, at least it works as a reference for them. Then for mediation, I will become, and I'm going to do the course. I was going to do the course in mediation and arbitration in UCD this year, but in all honesty, I just too much going on. Can't plough everything into family and living life, and we need to take, but first things first, find a new contractor. This is something that I've done on multiple occasions, find somebody else in, but this person or people is somebody I know and trust. This is somebody that I've done work with before. Sorry. This is somebody I trust their dignity, I trust their references, I trust their financial situation, but mostly I trust them and their character. And I have 2 or 3 builders that I do this with, and in return they do consistent good work alongside me. I'd love to say for me, but it isn't that. It's a co-joint relationship, and it's about trust and dignity, and it's also about having a bit of joy. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Not all builders are bad guys, far from it. There's so many good guys out there. What happens occasionally is some guys just get out of their brackets. They get out of their brackets and they get in over their heads. And it happened to me. I did a job for $500,000, and this is about 15-20 years ago, and it was just too much. I was undercapitalized, and then I had to back down and do a job for $250 to get back to capitalization. And then I realized, you know what, the stress and strain of this, I went down to 120, and then I went down and said I'm going to have an easier life, and then I went down to about 65-70 grand, and then I went back to college and I went to 30 grand. So you can see the drop down, but it was about capitalization, stress and strain. So what does the RIA contract give you? Well, it gives you payment schedules, gives you retention, gives you defect liability, it gives you formal recourse and resolution procedures, and it gives you clear termination rights. One of these is if the builder has gone bankrupt. So today I did a whole analysis on the builder and the job's going slow, and it was interesting to see the web of connectivities this builder has, and who he works for, how he works for, and how this is related to other companies. And it was really interesting to see the protection strategy that they've actually got for their web. There's 3 or 4 multiple companies, and I thought, wow, they're very clever. But more importantly, I was able to see financially they are solid, and their slowness is more towards resourcefulness of labour than it is actually of misalignment of finances. So that's a deep dive that sometimes need to be done, and to be honest with you, I'm going to have a call tomorrow with the homeowners. Thrilled that I actually did it, because now I've got an awful lot more peace of mind than I had before. Real scenario, 150 grand, told you that story. Another one for 80 grand, huge deposit up front. Another job for 80 grand as well. That wasn't really much of a deposit, that was just ongoing work. And the guy was calling to the house even if work wasn't done, and he was looking for 5 or 10 grand a week, because he's burning money, he's burning overheads. And once he gets one job that isn't profitable, then he's in a downward cycle. So that is, and let's see, 45. I've done this where this figure was 120, and it was about 25 grand worth of work done. So you got 100 grand instead of here. These figures are actually kind of marginally low. Unfortunately, did another job, nice builder, all the rest. Bill came in for 40 grand by the time that I went through his invoice, and 20 grand had already been paid. He was then owed 50 euros. He was claiming for work that wasn't done, and he fully believed he was entitled to it because he'd spent the time there. So as far as he was concerned, that's what he was fully entitled to. So non-payment, and by the way, got to emphasize this here, this does not allow for deposits. This, if I had to say anything, please, this is not verbal, no milestones, no retention, no defective liability, no mechanism for resolution. And the reality is you can sign a contract for anything. So you have to be very careful, and I say this all over the time, please never ever sign 2001 Irish Law Society and CIF contract. Please don't. Please safeguard yourself. Okay, so okay, Bob, here I am here. 5 practical steps, just a little summary. Stop all payments. Document everything. Keep communications factual. And this may need a little bit of physical distance. Don't be around when they come to site. Lock the site up. Get a new padlock. Even let the guards know that the site hasn't. Tell them the situation. They may call around, and even if they don't, a record of it's a good thing. All emails have to be traced back. If you are using a common data information, before you pull the plug, download everything. Because if you don't, they will. And irrespective of whether you're the homeowner or builder, and irrespective of who's being demonized by the other, they will pull the information. So please be factual with that. Do not engage another contractor yet. If you do, you're actually giving them due course. And in between this, you need to establish a breach contract. If you get an independent assessment, then you need a breach of contract before you start again. Do not start work again before you establish a brief of contact, and that's an email trail that needs to be done. There's no joy in this. No joy in it. I know that's an understatement of understatement. So I do bank and grant reports, and I do these reports. Usually I'm about 1,500 to actually do this type of report. This is for bank and grant, but I'm about 1,500 to do this type of report because it's double phase. It's got a legal angle, it's got methodology and clauses and follow-up emails and formatting them to actually form the brief. Well, not to form the brief, but to actually outline, to show, to find the brief, and then to move on and to work with the solicitors as well. So depending on the size, shape, form, that can go up from 1,500 to 2.5 plus the VAT. Okay, so get the facts. You need to give me a call at any stage, unfortunately. Please feel free to do so. So look after yourself in all of this. Take care of yourselves. Thanks. Best regards, Rory.